don't think that there's a good motive to agree with that either. Okay. And
What do
also,
you? Okay.
as for your point, I know I just sounded like I was finishing there. I wasn't finished. Sorry. Now, as for your point about how Tanjiro's sword only breaks because he gets reckless, I think that's dependent on the actual situation. I think in this situation, his opponent has enough AP to break the sword, but I also think that Tanjiro's sword has enough AP, not the sword itself, sorry, but the AP when swung also has enough durability as well to go against Rui's attacks and break through them. So obviously, depending on the situation, the sword can break, but there's a reason why Tanjiro can fight like Upper Moon free Akaza and his sword won't immediately break. It's kind of dependent on the situation. I'm not really sure what the situation is in specific that's going to cause the sword to break, but I think that's such a minor detail that I don't see much reason to actually have a discussion on scaling of the swords based off of two different comparisons of feats with swords.
Are you trying? Okay, before we get into that, are you trying to say that you think the offer wouldn't show consistency of the sword breaking over attacks? So you're kind of skeptical about if, let's just say, Tanjiro hits his sword against Akaza. You think that they won't give much detail to the sword actually breaking from what happened? Is that what you're trying to say, or is that a whole different thing?
I'm not talking about like the sword whittling away. I think that's what you're asking me about. I'm talking about like if the sword gets broken by a lower moon and then he fights an upper moon a few arcs later, and obviously this upper moon has far greater AP, and Tanjiro is able to clash his sword against Akaza's attacks and they don't get broken, etc. There's probably some different context, obviously, for why. Well, not just a different context, but a different reason as to why the sword breaks for one situation but not the other. And it's literally just a sword breaking in a fight about like swordsmanship, like not a story, not a fight about swordsmanship, sorry, but a story about swordsmanship. It's really such an insignificant detail. I just don't think it matters, to be honest.
Okay, so I'll just put a big paragraph. So we see in the distant or whatever the whole thing, we see that Tanjiro states that his sword will break from the impact of this attack. So there is some correlation to the offers are showing details to the sword breaking. So I don't see the issue. And I don't think the ranks really matter because Ryu didn't really care about the ranks. He only cared about making his fake family. So he never really cared about getting into higher ranks. And especially since statements prove that Ryu's above Enmu. Because when Tanjiro analyzed, he uses the scent to prove something, to provide something. And the author is trying to show that Ryu is much more powerful than what people expected. It's shown in the manga and then shown in the anime, and it's also shown by feats. Like you said, Akaza has more EP, but then we see Akaza is struggling to break the sword while Tanjiro's sword breaks from Ryu's cleave or whatever you want to call it. I just don't see how you can give an assumption that the sword just gets stronger because Tanjiro gets stronger. Doesn't really make sense to me because you can still be getting the same sword. It's the same detail. Like, sure, there might be some times where offers don't have to give much detail, but if it is a stronger sword, then they should be giving more detail because everyone's gonna think that's the same sword that Tanjiro used in every single fight.
You think that in a story where the author says that the breathing styles don't actually contain elements that are implemented within the story, as in like when Tanjiro is using water breathing to break his fall so that he doesn't die from falling hundreds of feet in the air onto the ground, you think that an author like that actually pays attention to details this minor?
Wait. Oh, are you trying to show the part where Tanjiro fights Yaba or whatever his name is when he uses his
Not
abilities
just
to try?
Jabba, in the Infinity Castle too.
I mean, sure, I guess, but the breathing techniques aren't really as important as the swords themselves. Like the way they show the breathing
What?
technique, is from what it does and from what it is shown to do. If Tanjiro's breathing technique has shown to be capable of defending himself, then there is no problem with that because it's stated by Tanjiro that water breathing is a defense to an attack. He states that himself. So I think there's detail there. when there's a statement from Tanjiro stating that the defense of water breathing is just a defense type breathing. I guess you could say something like that. Do you need proof for that?
You can use a sword form to defend, obviously, but it's like retarded to say that when a guy is falling in the air and he's saying the reason why he's gonna die when he's falling in the Infinity Castle, for example, is because he doesn't have a good position to actually use the leverage of the Infinity Castle to use a water breathing form to break his fall. Okay, he's specifically talking about the forms. If I'm falling in real life and my body doesn't have the durability to withstand the damage, obviously just swinging a sword into the fucking ground is not gonna make it so I can actually handle the fall. That's not how physics works. So what's probably happening here is there's some supernatural ability which is being implemented, which is that this guy can literally just create water by swinging a sword and breathing a specific way in this story of Demon Slayer, and the author is just not very keen with details. So we should probably just be agnostic about the very fine and minor details like this and focus on the more major details like narrative, where we can obviously derive author's intent more easily.
I don't. What's your reasoning on why he's not giving detail? Like the water breathing is pretty much stated to be defense, right? I know it is confusing that Demon Slayer Corpse has these weird abilities because normal humans don't have the ability to do all the breathings. This all derived from sun breathing, and all these other breathings are just from the replicas of sun breathing. Like I'm not really into what the breathing techniques are, but they're trying to show that these abilities can pretty much work to defend yourself, to attack, or to be literally anything. It could be for anything, to be honest. So, since water breathing has defense, I don't see the inconsistency because water breathing is shown to be for defense. That's why Chandra, when he used water breathing against Ryu, his sword didn't take any shown damage. And yeah,
Yeah.
pretty.
I
It's
think
pretty
I'm
much.
just going to repeat this because this is just a begging the question fallacy. I've given you my issue specifically for why I think the argument that water breathing is used for defense is insufficient on its own. If you actually take the interpretation to be true, that water doesn't actually be created through Tanjiro's breathing style and his swordsmanship whenever he is trying to use water breathing to break his fall or to kill other demons, okay? If you take that interpretation to be true, then how do you rationalize a guy swinging his sword into the ground and then making it so that he can survive a fall? That doesn't happen in real life. So why is this happening in Demon Slayer? What do you think is the better explanation? That he's actually creating water and maybe the author messed up, or he told a lie, or he doesn't know what he's talking about because he's not very keen with his own story. He doesn't keep up with his own story that well. He makes mistakes. Or the guy literally just somehow managed to break his fall when he doesn't have the durability to survive by just swinging a sword into the ground while falling.
Well, we see with Yahaba, he uses his breathing techniques to take less damage from the fall. He is shown to take damage because he's very tired. Because you know how the breathing techniques can tire the person. He spammed that so he doesn't take as much damage. Because if he did take damage, they're shown Zensu, who should be at least relative to Tanjiro at the time of I forgot what it was called. Is that temple area where we saw the drum demon? He gets knocked out from like 30 meters or something instead of 30 meters. And Yahaba is putting Tanjiro above the trees. That's like around at least like 50 meters if we use some speculation. Because like he's going all the way up in the sky. So I just think that the sword and the breathing techniques, he's especially using breathing techniques to just lessen his damage. I don't see how this is an inconsistency with the story. Like, I get that you're trying to say that Tanjiro's sword probably got stronger, but I don't see the evidence for it. Because even if you say that there's lower moon ranks and upper moon ranks, I already gave the justification that Ryu is above Enmu and everyone else from these feats alone. And he didn't really care about the ranks, like I said. So I want you to contend to that, as well as all the other points I made.
Doesn't Tanjiro literally just say that Akaza is the worst hand out of anyone else has ever interacted with, but your chain scale literally shows things like where we have a greater AP than Akaza? That's for one. For two, the scent is probably from the actual smell of Muzan's blood or the people eaten, because for whatever reason, Tanjiro can tell whenever he's smelling a demon that this person has eaten hundreds of humans as of the feed with, not the feed, sorry, but the interaction of Hantangu, where he looks at Hantangu when he's popping out after the 4 different forms of Hantangu have merged into Zahakuten. And then he looks at Zahakuten and says, "You've probably eaten hundreds of humans. You're like pure evil. This scent is horrible," or something like that. So, given that, I mean, I don't even know if that means anything. You're saying that this guy said that one person's scent was worse than the rest, that being Rui? Rui is before Enmu. So how are you going to say that the guy he saw before has a worse scent than the guy he saw after off of scent? Is there a statement of that? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I'm looking at this. This is literally a rat argument. This is literally the version of Enmu that isn't the actual full version of Enmu. This is the incomplete version of Enmu, like the avatar version of Enmu, not the actual version, which like fused with the train. The version that fused with the train, that guy was a big threat. Like Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu all 3v1 this guy, and they still had some trouble. So I don't think that's a good argument.
Okay, so if we're basing off scent off of how many people they killed, then I guess Ryu killed more people, which would just prove that he's more stronger because he's absorbed more humans, which doesn't make sense. So I don't mind the Hentengu stuff. I actually agree with that. That's fine. I don't know about it, but I have seen scans of it, and it's pretty valid. I'll say that. We can say it's dependent on how many humans they killed. That's fine. However, the Enmu argument, the reason why Enmu was giving Zensu and Inosuke and Tanjiro the struggle was because we see in the fight that Enmu is just infinitely regenerating herself, and she's in a way bigger body. Well, I don't think it's a she, but it doesn't matter about the gender because it looks like a she. Wait, I gotta mute myself. All right, I'm back. So I think the reason why Inosuke and Tanjiro and Zensu were struggling, I don't think Zensu was even a part of the two attacking Enmu because they both were attacking Enmu's head, right? Zensu was pretty much attacking the train and making sure that the Enmu doesn't absorb anyone. Right? Goku was doing the same, and so was Nezuko, I think. Yeah, Nezuko as well. So it was only Tanjiro and Inosuke, and Tanjiro had to he kept on trying to kill himself because he was on those dreams. So he was Zensu. Oh wait, okay, but I don't think Zensu was there because Zensu was fighting something else. Enmu didn't care about all the other guys because Ren Goku was the only one that dealt like any actual damage to him. Sure, they all like helped in towards of him not absorbing anyone, but they just did no meaningful damage. Like, and we got a little bit of damage from Goku, but it was nothing crazy. But another point is that the reason why Tanjiro and Inosuke were pretty much struggling against Enmu was because of Enmu's ability to put them to sleep. Inosuke was kind of immune to this though, because we don't really see Inosuke sleep that much. He seems to be more so like kind of immune, but not really immune. But he just had like better ways of avoiding it. While Tanjiro didn't have it, so I don't see how this point is relevant since Enmu is not really a fighting type. More so her ability to sleep, to make people sleep, more so her power, but she's not really good against people who are obviously shown to be faster since Enmu was getting kind of speed blitzed by Tanjiro, but Enmu just has more power than Tanjiro, or you could argue they're somewhere relative, but I don't really think that. I think Enmu is more powerful. and Tanjiro shown by feats.
Bro, they got a new season of Rick and Morty. What the fuck?
What?
I
I
think
didn't even
that-
finish 8. You're telling me they're already on 9?
I think that's what I was
Monica.
pointing to. So, what's your contention?
Well, the problem with that is one, so Enmu is fused with the train, and obviously if he's fused with the train, then that means he has some method of attack through the train. And if that's the case, then if other people in different sections of the train are literally just cutting up the train and cutting up his parts, then he has less means to attack because like his, I don't know, limbs or whatever are just getting cut up, you know what I mean? And additionally, an issue with your argument is you're saying like, oh, Rengoku's the only one who did anything. Tanjiro literally was the one who actually beheaded Enmu, so that doesn't even make sense. If anything, you could say that Tanjiro was the one who was the MVP. Maybe you could say Rengoku because he saved most people on the train by dealing with, I believe, the most sections of the train. But I don't really care about that. That's super arbitrary though, because you have to actually scale off of like that to get to a point. And if I'm skeptical upon that, then your argument doesn't go through. Unless I have a greater motive to believe in your argument over some like different interpretation. Now, here's the issue. You're scaling off of Enmu, right? So if you're scaling off of Enmu and you're like Enmu is really a fighting type and Enmu doesn't have scaling, then as I just said, it doesn't really go anywhere. Let me ask you this. So when we talked about the sword earlier, Tanjiro's sword maker says numerous times every time his sword is broken, I'm gonna make the next sword more durable than the last and make sure it doesn't break. So your sword scaling is just like literally impossible.
Where does he say that?
I don't have every single statement, but I can give you one of them. Like literally in the Swordsmith Village arc, the guy literally says, "I'm gonna make a sword that's perfect, an absolutely perfect sword." And he's like mad when they try to take the sword when it's incomplete, so that Tanjiro can use it to behead Hantengu.
Okay.
Yeah, wait,
I want to see that, I guess.
Oh, wait, did you want me to like tell you what was up or what was going on?
Just tell me after, because it'll be outside help, I guess. But thank you. Anyways, Narzugon, do you have anything more to say? Because if not, I'm just gonna give you my main issue of your argument, and then scale.
I'm just waiting on your swordsman argument because that's a continuing to my argument.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I want to see because I never saw that in the manga. I'm not really that far in the manga, but I never saw that statement or in the anime. I'm like, I finished season 3, so there was like no statements of that whatsoever. That's why I'm using the scale because there's like no statements or nothing to prevent the swords get stronger.
I'll show you. I'm guessing it's just like near to hundreds or something. I don't know. Let me see.
Let's see.
So you know the hold on.
Also, swords often get damaged. The villagers are maybe.
Don't respect the scans, just because I'm still sending them.
No, like that. At the time I got chopped by a broken once before. It's been 2 months, but no Catholic. Okay, let's see. I will take this tarnish sword and polish it into.
Oh.
Is that it? Oh, okay, let's see.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, I mean, literally, it says the training. Physically, that's why he got so buff, so that he could actually make a sword that'd be strong to where it wouldn't break, so that you wouldn't die in combat. And we literally see later on, when upper 5, see this guy, sharpening the sword. He's like freaking out because he's an artist that cares about his work, but this guy is so locked in that he literally like his eyes cut open, his back completely cut open, and all that stuff. And he isn't even like losing his focus on sharpening the sword. He's like extremely focused on making the sword more durable than the other ones. So we see that in this guy's character, he's sort of like a perfectionist about his swords. He wants to make sure that his swords don't actually break. For you to say that for each time he's going to make the sword, it's going to be something that's like the same quality of durability, it seems really unlikely. For one, because of narrative purposes, like as you literally said, Akaza is Upper Moon 3, whereas Daki is Upper Moon 6, so narratively he should be above. Which is also kind of weird because your argument literally has like 2 lower moons above, Upper Moon 3, but I digress. So, like, literally there's a narrative issue with your argument, but on the second hand, the sword scaling doesn't work. So I just think it's really unlikely that your character wins.
There's like another translation where it says that the character wanted to make a strong sword. I think the strong part is a bit out of context because, like, I'm pretty sure this guy is known to like always hype up of his swords. He always hypes up his swords, and then he wants to kill Tanjiro after his sword breaks. So I'm pretty sure he's just hyping up the sword because if he knew each time when Tanjiro breaks the sword, then he knew that each time if he did make it stronger, it wouldn't even matter. So I don't really see the issue here. Also, I'll continue with the lower moon stuff. Enmu, okay, so ranks in Demon Slayer, the upper moon ranks are consistent. We know this. However, for Enmu got more powerful because of Muzan's blood. Muzan's blood increased his power. I think Enmu without the blood would be weaker than the upper moons, which does make sense. But then when Enmu gets that blood, you can see from the scaling that I provided that Enmu is shown stronger with the blood. He talks about how he wants to outrank the upper moons. He never fights them. I don't think he really knows them that much because they're very mysterious. Just like how Tanjiro was surprised of the Hashira. Like always, the upper stuff that they see is like very, like it's not exclusive to them. They just don't see that at all. And what else did you try to say? Let's see. There's another argument. So that's pretty much why. And then Tanjiro senses Rihu and Enmu, and with what he said, he thinks Rihu is more stronger. That's why I'm proving Rihu is above Enmu from that. And even by feats itself is kind of proven as well, which I can like provide some feats I can prove since what else?
There's only to prove that like full form Enmu is below Rui. There's only to prove that.
I don't think. Okay. Oh, the argument. So I don't think Enmu got any stronger. He literally states himself that he's just putting his body into the train itself, not really increasing his durability or anything. It's not really shown for him to do that. So it's just like spreading across his whole entire body and turning it into a train. He doesn't really increase his power. He doesn't state that it will increase his power. He said that the passengers, when he eats them, it will increase his power. It will increase his body, which is true because demons do. Demons do strive for humans to not just to get more hunger, but to get more power as well. Since we know they can be hungry in some cases.
You don't think he splits his power?
I don't think Enmu ever changed his power from his base to his train thing. It's never really stated that he got more stronger. It's just that
He
the author's
separates
trying to
himself from the train in that form.
what? Wait, what? He
Yeah,
goes inside the train.
the version of Enmu that fights Tanjiro before he is like in the full form. That version is separated from the train. Okay. In a Demon Slayer, demons are powerful. More powerful, sorry, depending on how much blood they have. That's a factor that changes their level of power. Okay? So if this guy literally splits up a part of his body and separates it from the train, obviously he's going to have less of Muzan's blood.
Why? Wait. Why would he have? Okay. Wait. So I don't really get that because he kind of states that his train's going to become his flesh, his blood, his flesh, and his bones, which is true because he can control it willingly. His
Want me to
body can take
explain it?
damage.
Or was that
Huh?
like a rhetorical question?
Wait. What?
When
Wait.
you
What are you
said
trying to?
you don't get that, when you said I don't get that, were you asking like a rhetorical question, or did you actually want me to like explain it?
No. No. I always say that. So no, it was rhetorical. So from what I see from the scan and from what's shown is that I do think that his head is a part of the train because his whole body is going into the train. I don't see how. Okay, so the head is outside of the train, but the whole body, including his head, is trying to be a part of the train to absorb his power. And I think that not absorb people. So I don't think that Enmu got any stronger. And I'm pretty sure what the author is trying to show is that Ryu's more stronger than Enmu from what we see. Because that statement, yes, it's base Enmu, but I'm pretty sure it's Tandra's scent
Excuse
of
me.
smelling. I think it's Tandra's scent of smelling Enmu's blood as well as the Amp's blood, which I was talking about, the Muzan blood. And then he smelled Ryu's blood. So he compared the blood, and you said it depends on how many humans they eat. So Ryu ate more humans than Enmu, so it would make sense for
Or
Ryu to
Muzan's
have
blood,
more power.
not just the people he ate. But that would be the same thing. But also, do you really not think that Enmu was literally just separated, considering he didn't know that the train was literally fused with Enmu, or I guess vice versa, Enmu was fused with the train? That obviously he doesn't know about this beforehand, so any statement he makes off of smell shouldn't actually be accurate to the full power, or at least like the knowledge of what the full thing might smell like if it's different, because he hasn't even noticed that the guy is fused with the train. Okay. Additionally, we literally see that the guy steps off of the train multiple times. He's in the air when fighting all this stuff. He'll jump off of the train or whatever. So he's not literally connected to the train. Okay. He literally just splits up one of his body parts and makes this little clone of himself. And if he does that and it has less of Muzan's blood in it, because obviously if I cut my arm off right now, like let's say I have access to the ability to manipulate my body and I can make a clone of myself with just my arm alone, and it's a mini clone, then obviously that's gonna have less blood inside of it than literally just the full body. Unless you think that like each clone is gonna have like equivalent blood as well, but then I would just ask you why he doesn't just make like hundreds of clones.
What was your other? So how Tundra smells the blood, it's actually going according to their full power, because the way demons like amp themselves, they're obviously using their blood, their feast, their hunger for power, and hunger. They're using the humans they ate, right, to use more power. So it does make sense why Ryu is stronger than Mu because of that, because he has more humans that he ate, so he would be more stronger. He Tundra is checking on the blood. We agree on not the blood. How many humans? Okay, he's checking on the blood, but how many humans is he eating? Me and you agreed to this on how Tundra scent is going according to how many humans they eat. So I don't see how his argument follows. But another point, let me stop. I need to stutter at least a little bit. So, what was I gonna say? Enmu himself, he can get out of the train. That's fine because he's going connected to it, and he can get out if he wants to. But I think his body is stronger than his head. Respectfully speaking, his body is stronger than his like neck. I would say from feats, because Tanjiro is able to destroy the neck. Right, Tanjiro is less superior to Rengoku, who was like even with a mental amp was struggling to destroy to chop off Akaza's head. and even from feats that Rengoku should be above Tanjiro. Do you agree with that? Not the current, not the Tanjiro from.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, do you agree with at least
I agree.
Rengoku being Tanjiro? Wait, what did you say?
Mugen Train Rengoku is more powerful than Tanjiro. I agree.
Okay. So I just see that the head is kind of the weaker part of the whole train. So I don't really think that it costed him a lot of his power if his head was pretty much weaker than his body. And it also makes sense because he's trying to absorb more humans to gain more power. So it does make sense on why he's using that initiative to get more
I think I heard
humans
that.
to to actually gain more power and then eventually consume everyone. That's pretty much his whole plan. He was turning everyone to sleep and then turning everyone to sleep, and then he will go and kill everyone. He will give them good dreams and then just kill them off. So that's pretty much all I'm have to say. What's your contention to that? I think I talked too much, but yeah. Are you looking for scans or something? Because I'm done.
No, I'm not
Right
looking for skins. Okay. I already think I won that point. I'm pretty confident in that. I just think you're saying that excuse me, I was just burping. I just think that if you're saying that when it comes to people actually being recognized for their power in Demon Slayer off of Tanjiro's smell, I just think that that's going to be a different circumstance in one case versus the other due to the lack of awareness of Enmu, as I've already said before. So I think there's a different circumstance. So I don't think that it's an equivalence. But I'll also say is, I mean, what part of this actually gets Enmu above Akaza, by the way?
I'll prove that in a bit. So let me just debunk the point you were trying to say that like Tanjiro with just fighting Rihu was like just a few minutes of the fight, he could tell that Rihu was holding back to just like not kill him. So he was holding back, right? He could tell by not even interacting with him that much. He literally can tell how strong Enmu is from just little interaction. So I don't really agree with the point where he doesn't have much basis. He has enough basis because his scent is really good. Like let's just say I forgot his name. Daki's brother, right? He smelt Daki's brother's scent. He knows how powerful um, Daki's brother is. He's stated to be more superior to Daki, which I agree to because it's consistently shown, and I think you agree to that as well from what's shown by feats. And what else? What did you else say? So I think Tanjiro has really good analysis when it comes to that. And I think we should like go on the. I think we should like move on. Like you can make your contention, and then I think we should move on to the sword part because like I don't think we went to that point that much, so we can like just move on after you contend, and then yeah.
Can you summarize the point I just made? I zoned out for some of it, and I didn't understand other parts of it. So
Wait,
thank you.
do you want me to do you want me to say it all again?
Well, obviously not all. I would prefer if you would summarize, please, for why you think that Enmu is above Akaza.
Oh, that part. Okay, I was like proving other points. All right. So Akaza takes severe damages from Ren Goku's attack, while
Okay.
Enmu pretty much tanks the same attack. I mean, she doesn't tank it, but she takes it way better than Akaza did. Akaza lost his arm, while Enmu took way less damage from that same attack. And consistency. Enmu has shown to wait. Let me check. Wait, let me check the fight real quick so I can like make sure I'm not making bullshit. Let me check the first fight. Um, so when Enmu fights Tanjiro. Just wait. Okay, wait. Tundra. All right. So from what we've seen, Enmu's neck was pretty much like able to withstand Tandra's weapon for like at least like 1 second or something. Well, not 1 second, yeah, just about 1 second with the water breathing technique and whatever. And I think uh I think that from that feat alone that Enmu could survive Tandra's attack for a little bit, considering that Enmu is a lower moon, and I think he should be above the spider demon, because like in terms of rank, the spider demon, not the like the father spider demon, he's probably above him because of that rank difference, and especially since Enmu is shown to be more important than him from the ranks itself, and all the spider demon father was pretty much just a separate part of what Rihu made, like what Rihu created with his own power. And that same spider demon was like able to withstand not Tundra was able to withstand Inosuke's attacks, and then Tanjiro damages Akaza. I'm not trying to say that the Spider Demon Father is above Akaza. That's kind of bullshit. But I'm just trying to say that like Enmu should at least scale to at least surviving the attack as well as what Akaza has. So, and as well as the fact that not Rihu, the Spider Demon was able to regenerate from Gihu's attack, who is way below Rihu from what Tanjiro stated. Tanjiro stated Rihu's friends alone are above the Spider Demon Father, and the Spider Demon Father was able to regenerate from Gihu's attack, who should be above Tanjiro, of course. So let me just summarize that real quick.
You don't need to summarize. I heard it.
I'm just gonna type it so like it's just like a full understanding. I'll just put what's relevant right now.
Okay. When you're done writing it, I'll just immediately respond on. That's obvious. Can I respond now while you type or no?
Just wait. I'm just gonna post it all, and then you can like contend to what's said here, because I think I can do better writing it on typing on text. So I'll just okay.
Got it. Hi. Anyways. It's a long debate, bro. You gotta finish this, then watch fucking Madoka versus Signal Phoenix, and then tell Madoka they lost or some shit.
All right, there I sent it. I'll say, yeah, this was a pretty long debate. How long was this? This was, I mean, it was because of the interruptions. I think we could have got further if it wasn't for the interruptions. But like, yeah. If I didn't get interrupted, we would probably finish this by now.
I mean, one, you obviously held back against the Father Demon, and damage isn't always consistent in stories, so what's probably going to matter the most is going to actually not be like the feats themselves, especially in this type of story, since I've already justified why this character, not this character, sorry, but this type of offer, this offer specifically, sorry, and that being Kyoge or whatever the offer of Demon Slayer's name is, they mess up. I pointed out a really big instance on how they've messed up, and I've explained why that's a really big mess up. So what probably matters more to us is actually not the feats themselves, but how the author expresses their story. So that's going to turn into a narrative argument, I think, via the way that like the author actually conveys the narrative to us. The upper moons should typically be above the lower moons, unless there's like some contradictory feat, and even if then, I would probably say that like the upper moon should probably just be above.
Ironic.
And there's some way to rationalize it. Holy shit. Yeah, so as I said earlier, with your initial point, a bunch of the scaling, I don't think it was like super good. Honestly, I think this is kind of a bad debate, but most people don't really do that good on their first day. I think as I've already said, and with your argument as well, you literally have one of your premises that says that like upper moon, not upper moon 6, sorry, but upper moon, not upper moon 6. What was the upper moon that you mentioned? Let me see. You said that Akaza should be above Daki narratively via the rank. Like, this guy's a higher rank, therefore he should probably be above. Yeah, I'm gonna apply that same principle towards these other people. And I think that the narrative story is more important than like the actual feats for the most part, because the feats can be bent around or rationalized in a way that makes sense a lot of the time. Whereas like with the narrative, that's something that's more important. And if the narrative fails instead of the feats, then what we get is a story that has less trustworthiness between the audience and the author. And obviously, as a consequence of that, it's going to affect parts of the story throughout the entire story itself. So what's going to be more important in that case is literally just making sure that the narrative upholds above the actual feats. So I don't really care if the feats are a specific way. If the narrative is some way which is exclusive to that, which is contradictory to that, then I'm going to value the narrative over the feats because the narrative literally just affects more parts. It's more important. Anyways, that's all I have to say.
So,
But Daki probably wins because higher rank than Rui.
so the high rank part, I think we talked about this before, but from what I talked about Rihu didn't really care about the ranks. So obviously he just like didn't
Wait,
go
first,
and
I want to say one last thing. Daki Perception Blitz Tandra and beat him up. Obviously, better speeds. So that's up.
okay. So okay, we can go and like talk about why that's relevant and all that after.
I'm
But
probably not going to talk about anything else. That's kind of just it. Maybe you'll respond. Maybe you won't. I don't think you're going to win this. So I'm just going to leave it this way. Sorry.
so from what I said before was that Ryu didn't really care about the ranks, so he never really upgraded himself to the level he really needed to be because he just wanted a family. So obviously off of that, he didn't care that much. Now for Enmu was like questioning if her power could genuinely beat the upper moons because she never met them. She never met the upper moons, so she didn't know how powerful she could have been with her own power plus Muzan's blood. So that's why she never like she thought of the upper moons as higher rank, but when in reality she can be obviously above what's shown. She's shown by feats to be above Akaza and Daki. Sure, there's like some narrative, but the narrative has never shown any like chain scaling of the ranks between between Enmu and Daki and Akaza. So what I used was that from feats itself, Enmu is shown to be more stronger. So I just used that to justify. And what's this? The upper rank demons, their rank haven't been changed from the voice of lower level demons. Their strength is out of this world. Who is this stated by? I can't remember.
Enmu.
Oh yeah, I can see the eye. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna use this manga panel as evidence for no support. That's the last thing I'm gonna say. Yeah, I'll just give my take, and then you can give your take if you want to, and then we can just like stop the recording since I'm pretty sure you're worn out, and I can see why because this debate didn't really go as much as I thought it would, but it was a good discussion. So I think I was right about the part where she views them as the higher ranks, but she never really met them. She views them as the higher ranks because their ranks never changed that much. Muzan told Enmu and the rest that always their these upper moons always change always, so their power is never really good. There's not much to show for them. That's why I told you that I think that Enmu before he got Muzan's blood was weaker than the upper moons because obviously Muzan saw his power and views him as lower than the upper moons. What he wanted for Enmu to do is to prove himself to not be a worthless shit as like what he expected from him, which he does end up being useless and does fail Muzan's expectations, but his expectations were for him to fail anyway. But his way of thinking interested Muzan. So that's what I see for this. I do think that Enmu was somewhat glazing the upper moons because of what Muzan said and how he shows lots of relevance to Muzan, and not only that, to complete the task that he sent. So that's just what I see it as.
You have more to say
So,
because I said like a bunch.
yeah, it was like a lot. And I also see the part where he says, even after receiving that much blood, I still couldn't match the upper ranks. Yeah, I do think that Enmu was obviously glazing the upper moons because he never met them. How would he like know that his power itself would be above the upper moons if he never met them? Like for example, if Tanjiro ever gave the statement that Enmu's above, I don't know, Enmu's above Ryu, but never met him, that's just a statement from what he sees and from what he didn't even see. He just thinks that. He doesn't even like give much data to that. So if he does give a statement like that, then maybe it won't be as plausible as when he uses his scent to check their powers. So I do think that Enmu was somewhat glazing them because of what Muzan said, rather than him knowing what the upper moons were. That's just how I see it. We can like, if you want to contend, we can. You can, and then I'll just say we should just conclude after that.
I've said more than this. You're missing more of my argument that you need to attack.
What's the thing I'm missing?
So I'd love to tell you, but I'm guessing you're new to debating, and it seems like you actually cared about this debate. You came in and you prepped and everything. So the way I'm gonna do this. You're gonna figure this out via trial by fire. That means that you're gonna have to figure this out on your own. I'm not gonna help you. Okay? I believe you. You got this. Go ahead. Try to remember what my argument was.
I expect you just to like say your argument afterwards, and I mean, as in like when you contend to my argument, you say your argument, and then I just like think of an argument against that.
I know,
But
but that's not really how people do it in this community. A lot of people are dishonest. A lot of people are mean and stuff. A lot of people are more mean than me. They're not going to repeat it. You know, I did you the liberty of repeating my argument multiple times during this debate, and I want to see you improve. So I'm giving you the opportunity to try and figure it out on your own. And I believe in you. You got this.
I don't know.
Don't give up. Figure it out. Come on.
Is it the sword argument we're supposed to talk about? Was it that argument that you want to talk about? Or different point? Because we didn't really get much to the sword part.
Well, the sword part, I don't think you attacked like adequately, in my opinion. But that's not even what I was focusing on. I'm not gonna give you any hints though. Try to figure it out. Take your time. Actually, don't take too much time. I'm gonna give you like 5 minutes to figure it out. If you don't, I'm just gonna conclude.
I think we should just conclude. Like,
If you want to, yeah. But I'm telling you that you haven't really attacked my argument. So if you want to figure it out, here's your chance.
I mean, if I take these 5 minutes and I don't find anything, there's like the 5 minutes was like no point. So I think we should just
Well, what
stop
if you
here.
do find something?
Let me just check if you sent anything from before.
Uh-oh, I'm dead. Dying Clash Royale. I'm gonna look here.
Wait, you play Clash Royale? We can like 1v1, bro.
Mm-hmm.
We could 1v1, and I'm gonna spam Mega Knight. No, I'm joking. I'm not that guy.
Don't get distracted. You've got 4 minutes left.
Alright. Was it the point where you were trying to say about the narrative?
Oh,
Was it that?
remember what I said? No hints.
Wait, but can I just like ask if it was about that, and then you can say yes or no, or
Nope,
no?
that's a hint. That's not even a hint. That's literally just like a direct answer on what it is or isn't is. So you gotta
Wait.
figure it out.
So if I figure it out, what would happen after that, though?
If you figure out, you'll attack it, and then I'll tell you when your time is done, and then you'll be like, okay, I did this, or no, you didn't. So you got 30 minutes left. At this rate, I would just try to attack as much as I can and hope that I hit the home run on something.
I'll just attack the sword point because I think the one point that I don't think I attacked that much, so I'll just attack that since
Make
that
sure
was
to
a
use,
crucial point.
use your time wisely in case you want to say more. Speak
So,
quickly. You have 2 minutes left.
all right. So, from how I said before, is that the master himself, when he states that he's going to make a stronger sword, he's pretty much just glazing his sword, to be honest. Like, the way he does it is that when his sword breaks, he gets mad at Tanjiro, even though it's somewhat his fault, considering he's making his swords weak. Like, I'm not saying weak, as in, like, it's really weak, but I'm saying that he could make the quality better into, like, very advanced ways so Tanjiro can actually, like, not break it or lose the sword, which he doesn't really do. We also see like a translation that it says something else that he wanted to make a strong sword. So it doesn't even state stronger; it just states that it's a strong sword. So I don't think there's a lot of translations. Like there's like this one translation where it says a strong sword, and the other that says it's a stronger sword. So I think we should just use the strong sword because it is considered a strong sword in the Demon Slayer Corps. Because this is what the swords that all the Demon Slayer Corps should be using, or just at least around those qualities, considering Tanjiro himself is a part of the Demon Slayer Corps as well as the rest of the group. So I just think that his sword didn't really get upgraded that much, or even if like we say it did, there's no like proof that it ever did from feats itself. Feats just show that Tanjiro is still like, wait, how do I explain it? Like even by feats that shows that Ryu and Enmu are shown to be stronger than the upper moons consistently. So I just think that it's reliable to put Ryu and Enmu above the upper moons from that. I think the perspective you gave for Enmu was good. I would say that. But he's just seeing the upper moons as high rank because of Muzan. That's the whole argument. That's all I can say. I think the time's up right now. Pretty sure. That was like 2 minutes.
You can use all the time you want to finish your response, but you don't have any more time to think of a new response.
Nah, I think I finished. I think that's all I wanted to attack.
Well, you didn't really attack the narrative point, and it was also like mostly sent off the feeds thing. With the sword thing, you just straight up didn't attack that at all. Like the guy literally says, "I'm a perfection." The guy doesn't say he's a perfectionist, but he's obviously a perfectionist. Like he's literally beating himself up every time the guy like Tanjiro comes back with a broken sword. And we know that he actually like locks in with like his work because after he makes the final sword for Tanjiro in the Swordsmith Village arc, I'm just gonna tell you what happens. This guy Tanjiro never breaks his sword again for the rest of the series. It never gets broken. Like literally ever. Like Akaza tries to break Tanjiro's sword again, it doesn't get broken. Literally just doesn't. And I think he also made something in DMs that I didn't say in the debate because I'll be outside out. The guy who makes his swords, he literally like what was I gonna say? Holy shit. He knows about like Tanjiro's combat style and like his fights. So every single time he fights a new person and then like comes back with like a broken sword, this guy knows how to improve it more so than like how it was at in terms of like level of quality last time. So I don't know, it's like a really bad argument. You're arguing for an upper moon being like weaker than several lower moons. It's like why? What's the point of the upper moon and lower moon system then at that point? It's not even like, it's not like sensible as like a narrative. Makes sense. I'm gonna save the